Good evening, this is Maestro Cretella with a Dawn of War 2 Retribution Elite Mod cast. Tonight we have a 3v3 on Calderis Refinery. First up, we have ArbitUH as this orc Mekboy, this short little orc with a screw in his mouth, can teleport just as we saw right there. Ranged harassment hero, can also support structures and vehicles. Then, next we have Red-Rupee, who literally has a rupee on his armor. He's got a rupee insignia, or image on his armor. Playing as this ranged Techmarine, very powerful ranged hero. Supports vehicles very well with repair, as well as the repair global. Can also build structures like relay beacons and turrets. Finally, on the blue team, we have me, Maestro Cretella, as Sindri, Trollface, Chaos Sorcerer, a hero who fights with a sword, but also has a lot of long-range functionality with doom bolts, teleporting, and some pretty devastating late-game spells as well. On the blue team, first we have TrueExample as this Plague Champion, sitting in cover here, getting worshipped, a ranged hero, fighting against those Chaos Space Marines on the other side. He's a lot like the Techmarine to start out, can repair, build structures, supports vehicles well. He can also become a bit like the Apothecary because he can heal, and he can also become a bit like the Force Commander because he can be a tanky melee hero. Next we have MyMe as this Orc Warboss, chasing after the Techmarine as well as some tax. He is a very big and powerful orc, fights with his big chain axe as well as a twin link shooter in one hand. One of the best heroes in the game in my opinion. Finally, we have CommodusAugustus as this Grey Knight bro captain with that very big sword, walks very slowly, turning out to be a very good hero, cannot be suppressed or knocked back, and just very good in general. Alright, so over here, it looks like MyMe has kind of pushed up against both ArbitUH and the Tactical Marines of Red-Rupee, but his shooter boys do get a bit overextended, taking a lot of damage in retreat from ArbitUH's Slugger boys. One of the shooters down to 2 models, the other one down to 3, but MyMe answers back with some sluggers of his own to deal with ArbitUH sluggers, but his sluggers don't have as much support. So first of all, he's losing slugger models. ArbitUH sluggers get out of there. MyMe sluggers in a lot of trouble right now. 4 of them left, but they're getting hit by heretics. 3 just die right like that to a Doom Blast, and there goes the entire squad for MyMe. A very early squad loss. And it did not look like those heretics from me should have wiped that squad. They kind of got in there a little bit late, but Doom Blast is just so good in retreat. I'm guessing because it does area of effect damage or something. And now these Inquisitorial Stormtroopers in a little bit of trouble, taking too much range damage from that Mekboy. Upgraded to the Daka Big Shooter, along with these Shooter Boys. I guess he's trying to really focus down that Grey Knight Bro Captain. He's going to be having 3 units that he can use to focus down the Grey Knight Bro Captain, and then he can use his sluggers to tie up any Grey Knight ranged units. Alright, over here, I kind of haven't really been fighting TrueExample that much. In part because he's playing... I got a Chaos Mirror in my lane. I think Chaos Mirrors are messy, and I think the Sorcerer is on the losing end of all of them. But right now, I'm coming in for a flank with my double Heretics, and this is actually going to be really bad for TrueExample. He's got only 1 Heretic squad, upgraded to nothing. Does not have upgrade, so it's upgraded to nothing. Double Doom Blast, melee damage, already going to be wiping TrueExample's Heretic, so an early Heretic loss. I'm actually losing a ton of Heretic models myself, though, from the Bile Spewer on this Plague Champion. Uses Bilious Discharge to lock them in place, and then just uses the attack to damage them a lot, but some major losses from TrueExample. Even lost 2 Chaos Space Marine models. Did not lose any Raptor models, but Raptor's not going to be a great choice right now. MyMe coming in to support TrueExample. Does jump in with his Storm Boys against Red-Rupee, who's now supporting me with double Sniper Scouts. Actually has a total of 4 Scouts, an unintentional purchase from him, but he's going to try to make it work anyway. Chaos Space Marines actually, even at only about 55% health, just kind of staying in there and being ignored, luckily, so they can actually just do their damage. Sorcerer also has been upgraded to the Sword of Flame, basically just another melee counter. And this Techmarine probably going to have to go getting overwhelmed by melee, but knocks them all off. He's got Bionics. So Bionics is an anti-melee war gear for the Techmarine, and it's especially good when it comes as a surprise. That first time you use it, your opponent never expects it the first time, and he'll know after, but it's just so good that first time when he doesn't even know that your Techmarine is going to disrupt every single unit that's swarming him. So TrueExample pushed up a little bit, but I think he's got a few too many forces to deal with. Grey Knight's in the middle as opposed to being over here in this lane. We have a Grey Knight Rhino transporting CommodusAugustus units around the map, coming to support TrueExample, actually doing a hard lane switch. He's over in this lane, switching all the way to the opposite side, and goes right up to my double heretics. And my double heretics are especially going to be good, considering the fact that TrueExample lost his heretics, so he can't detect my heretics. And this Rhino actually taking major damage from the Scout Marines because the Rhino has super heavy infantry armor. And this is actually, even though my heretics just got snared by the bilious discharge, I think this is not a great engagement for TrueExample, and he does have to get out of there. He does have CommodusAugustus supporting with stormtroopers. Need to buy that sergeant so they can detect. And I stay in this lane along with Red-Rupee. MyMe also in the middle lane. Trying to deal with nothing. He's not actually fighting anything at the moment. Anyway, this power node over here, noted by the red team, will definitely go down. I have Chaos Space Marines just shooting from in worship. I mean, double sniper scouts right here, bleeding models off of the Shooter Boy squad. Will they? Yes. Oh, the that Shooter Boy squad down to one model, gonna get wiped by those sniper scouts if MyMe doesn't do anything. But then Red-Rupee actually backs off. Oh man, he should have kept those sniper scouts in there just a little bit longer. Might have wiped that Shooter Boy squad from MyMe. And wow, okay, this is interesting. So right now, TrueExample does not have heretics, so he can't detect my heretics, but he actually threw blight grenades, which he can throw regardless of whether or not he has sight of the heretics. And this is actually turning out to be a bad engagement for, I think this is going to be a bad engagement for, it looks like for me. My heretics, all of my heretics get forced off. Those double worshipping heretics, my Chaos Space Marines were kind of doing nothing. Will they lose a model though? It looks like they may just get out of there without losing a model, only taking bolt pistol shots from the Raptors. The Raptors might lose another model though. And now I'm actually getting doubled a bit. CommodusAugustus all the way over here from that other lane, but then Red-Rupee coming into support, going to be taking sniper shots on whatever he wants. Will actually do very good damage against the Grey Knight Rhino because it has super heavy infantry armor. Is upgrading to vehicle armor now though, so that will prevent it from taking so much damage from the sniper rifles. ArbitUH even pushing up here too as well. So a lot of the fighting has been taking place on these bottom two-thirds of the map. Look at that Plague Champion infecting that whole blob with the light grenades. So Red-Rupee does have this unintentional Force Scout build, but he's making use of it anyway. Has two shotguns as well as two snipers. Purgation Squad has been upgraded to Psy Cannons. Will do good damage versus everything, especially these scouts. Red-Rupee needs to really be careful with his scouts. Storm Boy's jumping in though, upgraded to have both improved rocket packs as well as a knob, which will make them a lot tougher. The Grey Knight Bro Captain goes down over here, trying to go for a decap, and the Strike Squad is moving up, but does get suppressed by aiming. What's that? They're actually getting a Psy Cannon of their own, so that they can be doing good damage to all targets. And now we're starting to have some Tier 2 purchases. TrueExample getting a Chaos Dreadnought. MyMe already with a War Truck out on the field. No armor yet, though. So meanwhile, ArbitUH is getting a War Truck of his own. I actually have a second Chaos Space Marine squad, and this engagement is going to heavily favor me despite getting infected by blight grenades. TrueExample loses his Raptors, and Raptors, although they certainly have their uses, are not so good against a melee-intensive build, because Raptors are bad against other melee units. Right there, I also take out the Plague Champion as well, upgrading one of my Chaos Space Marines to the Mark of Khorne, making them extremely good retreat killers and just a good melee unit in general. TrueExample, in a terrible situation now, only has his Chaos Space Marine squad and his Chaos Dreadnought, which can't even be repaired yet until he either revives his Plague Champion or gets another Heretic squad. So double transports from the red team. We do have that War Truck as well as this Grey Knight Rhino, now upgraded to vehicle armor and the Heavy Bolter. Chaos Space Marines in here going for that decap, but the Khorne Space Marines are moving in. Khorne Space Marines get stunned by that Storm Boy jump, and they should get out of there. They did not have full health, and I do not like their chances against those Storm Boys. These Storm Boys in trouble now, though, got disrupted by the Techmarine. Has the Mastercrafted Bolter in addition to that Bionics, but Red-Rupee just kind of lost track of things and lost one of his Sniper Scout squads. So since he has so many scouts, he's... Oh, and he actually disrupted all those Grey Knight units with that shotgun blast. Allows his units to get out of there. So we have double transports from the red team. I'm answering back with a Plague Marine squad. Plague Marine, not exactly hard AV, but can still certainly threaten those units. We have a Chaos Dreadnought from TrueExample, so right now the red team is definitely getting a vehicle-heavy army, or at least together they are. This Chaos Dreadnought does take one missile hit, but it's starting to get out of there, and I just walk with my Plague Champions over here. And CommodusAugustus is definitely moving ahead a bit with his Rhino. Definitely in a good position right now, since ArbitUH doesn't have too much AV. He mainly has this weird boy, and he does have, well, I was going to say he does have stick bombs, but stick bombs aren't quite AV. The Warboss is charging up ahead, but he's getting focus fired, got war vomited, so he is getting stunned. Oh, but now this war truck in a ton of trouble will go down. ArbitUH not quite paying attention, and CommodusAugustus unloaded with both his strike squad and his purgation squad, which both have psi cannons. So a lot of AV coming out of CommodusAugustus right now. Over here, the Chaos Dreadnought from TrueExample is definitely threatening my Heretics. And look at that Heretic model go flying over there. The Heretics do need to run out of there. But the Plague Marine is going to come around back to start hitting that Chaos Dreadnought. I also got a Las Cannon Havoc, because a Plague Marine squad is definitely not going to be enough to deal with a Chaos Dreadnought. You need harder AV to deal with a Chaos Dreadnought. Chaos Dreadnought now definitely in trouble. The Las Cannon is coming up right here to support, and the Plague Marines also right here. So the Las Cannon, he doesn't see it yet. It's in infiltration. It does end. I do end the infiltration, and this is going to be a dead Chaos Dreadnought. There's nothing TrueExample can do to get this Dreadnought out. I'm almost going to lose my Plague Champion squad. One Plague Champion gets out of there with 10 health. But the Dreadnought dies, which is the bigger loss. Alright, over here, Rhino getting threatened by this missile attack squad, and probably going to go down now, taking las cannon shots as well as missile shots, and that is the end of that Grey Knight Rhino. Look at the armies from these teams. So Red somehow has a triple cap despite having hardly any army. Red-Rupee by himself has as many units as every player on the red team combined, excluding commanders. He's got 6 units that you see in the unit tab, and then he also has this las cannon Devastator. I have a las cannon Havoc myself, which kind of doesn't have a purpose at the moment. Warboss getting focused down. Might go down here. Definitely taking shots from these Zinch Chaos Space Marines, upgrading to have an Aspiring Champion. Going to increase their damage by 33%, since it's just another model and gives the Aspiring Champion an upgraded weapon as well. So Red-Rupee deciding he got 4 scouts accidentally, but deciding he likes it, and actually repurchased a new scout squad after losing one of his original sniper scouts. Alright, so we have a little bit of a lull. We're kind of exerting some dominance now that we have massive armies, and the red team has comparatively weaker armies. And I kind of mentioned that I have massive upkeep. I have 145 rec income, because I really have some heavy builds right here with Chaos Space Marines, both of which have Aspiring Champions. Double Chaos Space Marines. Chaos Space Marines are already heavy on upkeep, and especially once you get Aspiring Champions as well. I also have these Plague Marines, the Havoc, and double Heretics. Alright, I'm moving my forces up in here. TrueExample still does not have any detectors, so he can't detect my stuff. And right now we just have a massive force of Orcs and Space Marines in the middle that CommodusAugustus and MyMe can't quite touch. He does have a new Rhino. This one upgraded to a las cannon. So that las cannon only does 20 DPS armor piercing compared to the 55 of the las cannon Predators. Alright, right over here, TrueExample does invest in his Plague Champion. So his Plague Champion is going to be very good against my Heretics as well as my Khorne Space Marines. He does force off both the Khorne Space Marines and now the Zinch Chaos Space Marines. And my Heretics just kind of sitting there invisibly for no reason. I do kind of stall out a bit though. Stall out that Plague Champion. So now I'm actually going for a decap, but it looks like I might lose my Sorcerer. So I don't even get the cap off on that point, so that was kind of a waste for me. Look at this huge mass of Orcs and Space Marines. We still have that Razorback from Red-Rupee. And this las cannon Rhino kind of hanging back. I'm moving up with my double Heretics in here, now doing a hard lane switch going up all the way into CommodusAugustus' lane because I can't send my heretics to deal with the Plague Champion, especially with the rest of my units forced off. And then I actually don't have a lot of good counters to the Plague Champion, mainly only my Tzeentch Chaos Space Marines. The rest of my units will actually pretty much get countered by the Plague Champion. Even my Plague Marines are all the way up here, and huge armies from everyone on the red team. I mean, everyone on the blue team. Arbita now with a looted tank, in addition to that weird boy. Red-Rupee already has 7 units. We can't even see his entire army. And I have 6 units as well. So now we're actually bashing some generators. I'm up here with my heretics, bashing generators. The Rhino is taking shots, but it's also getting shot by this Plague Marine squad. It needs to run that Rhino out of there before it takes one more missile hit, because one more missile hit will kill that Rhino. But the Rhino, I think, will get out of there. Oh, because the Plague Marine switching targets. Havoc's getting out of there. A Noxious Cloud going to be forcing off Arbita's Orcs, though. And I actually almost lose a Chaos Heretic squad to that Noxious Cloud, just barely get out of there alive. This Chaos Heretic squad also comes dangerously close to death, and now we actually have a little bit of a flank from TrueExample. Kind of realized that no one is in his lane. He does have triple Plague Marines, going to be very good against, although Plague Marines by themselves are not hard AV, certainly 3 of them will be very good AV. Pretty poor anti-infantry, but very good AV. Those Plague Marines getting hit hard by stick bombs, though, and MyMe only lost 1 Plague Marine out of 12 there, but he actually retreated all of them because they got disrupted, and they were about to get overwhelmed by a ton of units. My Sorcerer is still dead. And this Warboss is running in there with heavy armor as well as Ard boys, but even with all that, even as with that ridiculously tanky build, he can't just go in against that many units. And over here, we actually have a Land Raider Crusader drop from CommodusAugustus. He actually says it's a misclick, and that's a very costly misclick to accidentally drop your Land Raider Crusader right in the middle of your three opponent armies with absolutely no support. And now that Land Raider Crusader is taking Devastator las cannon shots, Havoc las cannon shots, also just got orbed by the Orb of the Omnissiah, and now also getting hit by this looted tank. That is a dead Land Raider Crusader right on the field. Certainly one of the worst mistakes that I've ever seen anyone make in this game. No hard feelings to TrueExample, but I mean, not TrueExample, that was CommodusAugustus. But it's still, yeah, I mean, it is kind of funny, and I don't really want to mean that in a bad way, but it still is kind of funny. Heretics coming on over here. They're trying to disrupt and suppress this blob, but still too many. One of the good things about the Plague Marines, even though they're not actually good at anti-infantry, is that it's just field presence that's hard to force off. And one of the weaknesses of Plague Marines in the mod is that they no longer heal themselves. They no longer heal their own squad with their death explosion. But I think they will still heal other Plague Marine squads, so it will be very durable. Knobs out for MyMe. MyMe with a very lean army, but he does have these knobs, which are extremely tough. They are getting knocked over by shotgun scouts, and Red-Rupee does have another shotgun scout ready to disrupt those knobs when he needs it, but he actually used it on something else. Maybe that Warboss still running in here with Ard boys. MyMe really trying to use Ard boys to make use of that Warboss. And those knobs actually just ran up in here and destroyed Red-Rupee's Razorback. Arbita also taking some unit losses, but he does have double looted tanks. And that is going to be some good anti-infantry fire support, especially with that big shot ability. But taking some unnecessary hits from that las cannon Rhino will even go down from the Purgation squad, so some overextending of that. And then even the Stormtroopers from CommodusAugustus went down, so a lot of unit losses right now. And especially this looted tank really has to be careful about these triple Plague Marines. It just barely gets out of there with 3 health, and actually gets out of there amazingly. But then TrueExample also just lost his Chaos Space Marine squad, so he's doing a good job of pushing it up in there. Almost killed that looted tank. Alright, so I'm more frequently committing my heretics to this lane. Ironically, despite winning so significantly over TrueExample and killing his army, I'm actually having trouble fighting TrueExample in that lane, though. I'm mostly focusing on the middle lane, but I'm going for a decap with my Sorcerer. Has been upgraded to Tome of Subjugation, and even uses that Sword of Flame to just counter those heretics in melee. But that the Sorcerer cannot counter the Plague Champion. And I mean, look at the staying power of these Plague Marines. They aren't doing much damage, certainly not to infantry, but they also just aren't. They didn't even have to go there. They haven't been getting forced off. One Plague Marine squad does go down, mainly because, I mean, look at how much health these Plague Marine squads had right here. They could have actually stayed in there and really threatened that Predator. Over here, it looks like another Rhino goes down for CommodusAugustus. He was trying to bring his Strike Squad and his Purgation Squad in here. Actually, just double Purgation Squads, not his Strike Squad. And what is this Purgation Squad doing? This level 3 Purgation Squad not retreating, gonna die. And while CommodusAugustus loses a Strike Squad, and he's gonna lose this Purgation Squad too. Unless ArbitUH wants to be really nice. And what is it doing? Yeah, that's the end of that Purgation Squad. I don't know what it was doing there. Anyway, Shootaboys from MyMe, and you know, the red team is doing an amazing job of keeping this even despite not having the army to really fight us. They must just be making better unit choices or something, or maybe we just have, I think maybe, although it might be a little too simplistic to say like, oh, we have more units, they have fewer units, but the composition, they might have more efficient compositions. I mean, I have 2 AV units that are frequently not even doing AV because they're not being confronted by vehicles. My heretics can't deal with a lot of the melee that TrueExample has. Especially not the Plague Champion. I try to go over for another decap with my AV units so that they can do something, but they do get forced off. And then Red-Rupee, his unit count might even be inflated by the fact that he mostly just bought a lot of scouts. Did lose one of those scouts. Does have the the Predator over here, and now we do have orbital bombardment. Must be from CommodusAugustus, since it is targeting ArbitUH's units, but it looks like most of his units are going to get out of there just fine. A few Shootaboys got caught in there, as well as a few stick bombers, but I think he will be just fine. Mekboy right here has the Daka Big Shooter, as well as the battery pack, allowing him to heal his units at level 6. Red-Rupee's Techmarine at level 4, but fully kitted out with Bionics, Mastercrafted Bolter, and the Orbs of the Omnissiah. And then I have Robes of Torment, Tome of Subjugation, and the Sword of Flame right here. So I'm in here. TrueExample just built double shrines to give both heal support and reinforcement support. And he also does have this Tzeentch Dreadnought doing a lot of AV damage, as well as being good against infantry. Now look at that. Right here, I actually used Tome of Subjugation on the Plague Marines for no other reason than to stall out the cap. And that's actually going to be very, very good against the red team, since they really need the VPs, and they would have gotten that cap off otherwise. And our rocks now from ArbitUH destroys one shrine, probably going to destroy this Dreadnought as well. Oh, so the Dreadnought looked like it was going to get out of there alive, but I had my AV to support right up here. We had a missile hit from the Plague Marine squad to take out that Dreadnought. Still one shrine up, but massive range battles going on down here. Doombolts hitting Shootablobs, doing damage. Tzeentch Chaos Space Marines doing really well as well. And then the Weird Boy is knocking over those Shootaboys. Tzeentch Chaos Space Marines will need to get out of there, and Red does manage to decap this victory point over here. Still, look at the amazing staying power that they are getting from this Chaos Shrine of Nurgle. Even under kind of getting hit by superior forces, double flash gets from ArbitUH, a very shooty orc build. CommodusAugustus must have even gotten a decap over here. And it looks like just a never-ending fight over here with units getting suppressed. ArbitUH's his slug is pushing up all the way in here to deal with that Chaos Shrine. I think if TrueExample unworships and then Doomblast these sluggers, those will be dead sluggers. But it looks like the Chaos Shrine was fated to die anyway. Did get hit by the Las Cannon Devastator, which is one of the other uses of a Las Cannon. After you've destroyed vehicles, you destroy buildings. That includes generators as well as defensive structures. The knobs right here, fully upgraded from MyMe. Gonna start chasing after this Predator from Red-Rupee. I feel like it's kind of risky to get a Predator right now with all the Plague Marines as well as these knobs, and all of that Psy Cannon fire. I think that might be a dead Predator. But actually, Cult of Speed activated by ArbitUH allows the Predator to start driving even faster out of there, upgrading to the las cannon now. But the VPs are now, the blue team has 2 VPs, but I actually managed to take back this VP down here. I actually let my Heretics take a ton of losses from the Plague Champion purely to stall out the Plague Champion so that I can have my Sorcerer decap and now capping this VP, and we need this cap because we actually lost the middle and our natural. Looks like Red-Rupee and ArbitUH pushed back a little bit, but I think that Las Cannon Predator will take out this Grey Knight Rhino, this Grey Knight Dreadnought, which has the Plasma Cannon, and there goes that Dreadnought. So over here, I actually subjugate one of TrueExample's Heretic squads, and I use that subjugated Heretic squad to kill his other Heretic squad. And it looks like my Sorcerer will have to get out of there now. The Chaos Space Marines right here, Tzeentch Chaos Space Marines, doing a ton of damage to Heretics, and I think even with only one model left, his Heretics can't stay in there any longer. And although these Plague Marines are very tough, they can't actually, I don't think they'll actually win against the Chaos Space Marines, but they will be able to cap, and I can't actually force them off the cap because I can't do enough damage to them to force them off the cap in time. So that's actually a pretty smart play from TrueExample. It's also one of the reasons I subjugated the Plague Marines earlier with my Sorcerer to get them off the cap. Over here, it looks like blue still can't even, we still haven't even been able to get this cap off. Purgation Squad coming dangerously close to death, getting sniped by that Techmarine's Mastercrafted Bolter, and it looks like here I'm keeping my Plague Marines in, my Chaos Space Marines in just a little too long. And I feel like, oh, alright, TrueExample actually retreated right there because I do have these Terminators now upgrading to the autocannon, just gonna cap that point, even under fire, and it looks like another Rocks over here, oh my god, taking out all of MyMe's units. And my Terminators right here now upgraded to the autocannon, but just capping that point under fire. And the Havoc, my Terminators actually do get knocked off the cap, but they just get right back on it. The Havoc right here is doing AV damage to that Dreadnought. TrueExample's keeping it in here because he just needs to get those Terminators off at all costs, but he wasn't able to do it. And I just subjugate Chaos Heretics again as they come right up to me to stall out his own units. And it looks like that will be the end of the game. It was a late-night American Fest when most of the European players were asleep. Pretty good game. Hope you enjoyed the cast. Have a good night.